가자. 토끼요. 미스가 쿠알라룸푸르. 이탈리아. 미쓰비시 엘렉트릭.
Mitsui & Company.
Winter in Japan. Lovely views. Heartwarming flavors. And exhilarating experiences. Discover the best Japan has to offer right here in central Japan this winter. Nagoya Railroad Group.
Welcome to Channel Japan. I'm Maki Arai.
And I'm Makiko Tsuda.
Every week we bring you the freshest information out of Japan from the studio here in Tokyo.
From the economy to culture and even foods, if you want to find out what's happening in Japan right now, this is where you'll find it.
And these are our topics for today.
In Dream Weavers, a workshop that continues baking traditional smoked tiles.
In Project Japan, the World Cosplay Summit representing 26 countries gets underway.
And from World Business Satellite, turning to foreign workers to fill the labor gap.
So let's get started. First up is Dream Weavers, in which we introduce the innovations of Japan's small and mid-sized companies.
Yes, and this time we'll be looking at Koyo Seiga, which is a company that makes traditional smoked tiles.
What are smoked tiles?
Well, they're used for the roofs of wooden houses as a waterproof finishing material, and they're part of the architectural heritage of Japan and date back to ancient times. And the tiles are made by first baking clay in a kiln, and then once that's done, they're left inside and smoked in an airtight environment, and that creates a carbon film on the surface, which gives them a dull silver color.
And it's the same kind of color that we sometimes call smoky silver.
Yes, that's right. And we have a picture over here. It's Himeji Castle, and it's designated a national treasure and is also a World Heritage Site. And this past March, a massive restoration that took 5.5 years was completed, and the renewed castle was shown to the public for the first time. And the company that made the tiles for the main tower is Koyo Seiga.
Wow, so to be put in charge of the tiles for a national treasure and World Heritage Site, I imagine it's because of their strong technical capabilities.
Yes, and smoked tiles are said to be long-lasting as well as fire-resistant. And conventional tiles are taken out of the kiln after 1 or 2 days. But what Koyo Seiga does is to keep the tiles inside for 4 days. And by doing so, they're said to have a finer finish.
I see. Well, at the same time, though, most of the new houses being built are Western-style homes. And tiles aren't used as much as before anymore. So isn't that making business difficult for them?
Yes, that seems to be the case. And so the previous company president is said to have considered closing shop. But his daughter, who's the current president, managed to keep the business going. And while struggling, the company has continued to make smoked tiles. So we find out how they succeeded in becoming the main tile supplier for Himeji Castle. So take a look.
In March of this year, The designated national treasure of Himeji Castle revealed its majestic beauty once again following a major renovation. During the overhaul, about 75,000 new tiles were laid. Playing a key role was a local tile maker with just 10 employees. The company employed a traditional technique requiring significant time and effort. Smoked tiles that won't lose their color for 50 years. As falling demand for tiles in Japan forces many manufacturers out of business, this company has continued to pursue a dream handed down by its predecessor of preserving Himeji Castle.
I kept telling people that one day we were going to retile Himeji Castle.
Invited to tour this smoked tile maker is a picture book author from Osaka. In a mountainous area of Himeji City, Hyogo Prefecture, there's a tile maker that took part in a massive renovation of Himeji Castle.
There are mountains, and it's pretty quiet. A nice atmosphere. How great would it be to work in a place like this?
Mr. Taniguchi is an author of picture books that have received high acclaim in Europe. His gallery and cafe is filled with characters straight out of his stories. He will be visiting Koyo Seiga, a small pottery maker specializing in smoked tiles. First, he drops by the work site of Shunichiro Kamai, a master potter of special tiles such as ridge-end demon tiles.
We clean them like this. Dry them and polish them one more time. Once polished, they look like this. Are their eyes angled downward so you can see them from below? What's the significance of laying them on the roof? They're put up there to ward off evil. The same with tigerfish and dragons. Clouds are connected to water. Wooden buildings are vulnerable to fire, so they're meant to keep fire away.
At a nearby park, there's a replica of tigerfish. It was made by Mr. Kamai's father. Too young to take part in the last big renovation, he's said to have been extremely heartbroken. So the son carried on his father's dream.
My father had already passed away by the time the renovation started. But I was able to do what he so wanted, and I'm grateful.
Koyo Seiga has supplied tiles for numerous castles and temples. They not only make tiles, but also install them and have received many letters of appreciation. He's led into their gallery. Being made are all smoked tiles with an oxidized sheen, what's often referred to as smoky silver.
Does the color become this way because the surface is glazed?
It's not glazed.
Not glazed? How does it become this way? How do you get the silver color?
With the right conditions, an oxidized silver film starts developing on the surface.
So if the conditions are right, it forms naturally?
In the final process of baking the tiles in the kiln, the surface is oxidized, forming a carbon film on the surface and producing a tasteful color and sheen.
This lets through air, but it won't allow in the big molecules of water. It has a structure similar to golfware.
He's shown where smoked tiles are actually made. On this day, they're making eaves tiles for a temple, The craftsman shapes clay using a pressing machine.
You're young. I'm actually older than I look.
First, the clay is set into a mold.
そこで折り曲がるんだ。
結構柔らかい土に
ちゃんとここに入れ込まない。
It is pushed in so that the shape of the crest appears clearly on the clay. The mold for the crest is replaceable.
あ、いろんなね、こういうもの。
A hand-operated pressing machine worn with age. Adjusting the pressure with the levers, the overall shape is made. And when taken out, it's become an eaves tile. The name of the temple is also clearly imprinted. As a finishing touch, it's shaved. This is a process that many manufacturers have started skipping, but Koyo Seiga makes sure to shave all its tiles.
What's the most satisfying aspect of this work? The fact that I'm making something that will remain on roofs for decades to come.
Once the clay dries, the tiles are put into a furnace. Removing the oxygen inside after the tiles are baked produces the oxidized silver color. The temperature rises to as high as 1,165 degrees Celsius. Most companies will take the tiles out after 1 or 2 days, but as Koyo Seiga slowly raises the temperature and naturally cools them, it takes 4 days. On the right is a tile baked for 4 days. The fine grain is evident. Koyo Seiga was founded in 1920. During the country's economic boom period, the Funatsu district was home to about 40 companies engaged in the same trade.
At that time, there were dozens of craftsmen working here as well. Since I was a child, I grew up watching their techniques up close. The beauty of the oxidized silver after they were baked is something that I felt existed nowhere else in the world.
As more Western-style homes were built, demand for tiles began to shrink. Smoked tiles struggled as mass production spurred cost competition. Across the country, tile makers went out of business, and Koyo Seiga also considered closing down its factory.
I was told it was okay to shut the company, that I really didn't have to do it. That was the message.
The president, who was a homemaker at the time raising 3 children, got a call from her father saying he was folding the company.
It was a big decision of either carrying on this traditional technique or choosing my family.
Ms. Sasada carried on the business with her husband, but later divorced and pushed ahead on her own. She had no funds and no management experience. Her only support was the dream of working on Himeji Castle.
I was determined to put our craftsmen up on the tower of Himeji Castle. I had absolute confidence in our tiles.
She appealed to Himeji city officials, but
They didn't know about us and were surprised that there were even tile makers in the Hyogo area. We told them we're still around, but they said that's the past.
to get the city to acknowledge them, they transformed the factory into a place where visitors could experience making things. The company became a frontrunner in industrial tourism and received support from the city. Many children and tourists visited, raising their profile. What's more, that helped to lift the motivation of the employees.
There isn't anything like this at a regular tile maker, so it's stimulating.
There's more energy than with just adults here. It's fun.
The first step in getting themselves recognized by city officials was the happy voices of children. The next step was carving a new path for smoked tiles. Katsushi Okudaira previously worked at an interior design company. He came up with the idea of using the tiles for the inside of homes and buildings.
I wanted to make them thin to put on walls, but when they're too thin, they bend and become warped. So you can't make them big. We overcame that drawback by making them smaller. Though there's more work involved.
Called arare, the smoked tiles are cut into small pieces and arranged. By doing so, they are transformed into interior material and even accessories. A truly innovative product.
By breaking down tiles and breaking down traditional techniques in this way, we can get people to understand how good they are. If they're shaped like tiles, people will say they don't need tiles.
The first facility to incorporate the arare tiles was Abe no Harukasu, the tallest building in Japan. The walls of the 14th floor hall, lined with high-end restaurants, are entirely covered in them.
At the time, using tiles as wall material was a revolutionary idea. These tiles are an Eastern thing, but they're designed like those used in the West. They match the concept of the floor, which is all ages and places.
By demonstrating its capabilities in industrial tourism and interior design to the officials of Himeji City, the company succeeded in securing a contract to supply tiles for Himeji Castle.
I was so happy. Nothing makes me happier than being recognized. I want to preserve this technique and this tile. Having them finally adopted almost brought tears to my eyes.
Potenza. We do our jobs with sincerity and integrity to make a better living environment for the people and our society. Today's work, tomorrow's heritage. Shimizu Corporation.
Let's paint a vision, your imagination. It started moving round the world. Dream car. Let's paint a vision, your imagination. It started moving round the world. From a sketch on a piece of paper, come together now. Dream car.
Machines can do much more to unleash human potential. Pure possibility. Omron.
You're watching Channel Japan. So, Tsuda-san, what's next?
Yes, next we'll be looking at the trend of cosplay, which is short for costume play, and it originated in Japan and involves dressing up as anime or game characters.
Well, I know cosplay is being promoted overseas as part of Japanese pop culture, but today, what are we going to look at?
Yes, today we'll be putting the spotlight on the World Cosplay Summit held in Aichi Prefecture, and 52 cosplayers from 26 countries and regions participated to compete for the crown. So take a look.
The Project Japan. Once a year, the city of Nagoya comes alive with the arrival of cosplay. Japanese pop culture in the form of manga, anime, and games is now recognized around the world. Rather than simply reading, watching, or playing, it's possible to actually become the characters. That's cosplay. Cosplayers have converged not just from across Japan, but from overseas as well, and they're avid fans. The reason why they've come to Nagoya in the middle of the summer is, of course, the World Cosplay Summit. The event was started in Nagoya in 2003 as a way to promote international exchanges through cosplay. This year, people from a record 26 countries and regions took part. It has grown into one of the biggest events in Nagoya in the summer. 1 week before the championship to choose the world's top cosplayer, participants from around the world who won the preliminary rounds gathered in Nagoya, considered the home of cosplay.
We are happy to be here and to have fun with all the other countries.
다들 멋지고.
Everyone's cool. No wonder they're the world's top cosplayers.
Craftsmanship judging that takes place before the championship is also extremely important. This is where participants can win a third of all points in the competition. Organizers who oversee preliminary contests in each country grade the cosplayers based on aspects such as how similar in appearance they are to the original character and the use of technique.
Oh, yes.
The costumes are all handmade. From props to accessories, ready-made items are not allowed.
Sandpaper to make the texture like this. Broken texture like this. Rotten.
This participant is from Indonesia. There's no doubt she's vying for the #1 cosplayer title. The quality of her costume would put a professional to shame. The Italian participant recreated a character from the popular anime Evangelion. The workmanship is almost figurine-like. He says recreating the unique form of the original character was a process of trial and error. The main parts were made by molding plastic, a masterpiece that took 4 long years to finish.
It's a really complicated build-up of the costume, so we have to take time. These are the same characters from qualification, and then new mechanism and the movement, so there's a lot of new things.
What kind of performance will he put on during the championship? This year, 4 countries were being represented for the first time at the World Cosplay Summit. One of them is the Philippines. They are portraying characters in a game about the Three Kingdoms saga with detailed ornaments and embroidery.
It's so amazing to share the same stage with all these amazing cosplayers and alumni. So it's such an honor to finally be able to.
Another contestant from Asia. This is the 9th time for South Korea to participate. In South Korea, cosplay has been rapidly gaining popularity in recent years. There are said to be 100,000 cosplayers in the country. Getting a big applause from the judges is a participant from Mexico. They are acting out a scene from the game Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. The quality of their costumes makes it appear as if they jumped out of the actual game. They focused the most on this massive costume. To stay true to the original, they used a Mexican art technique to color it. Jackie Dosai, the championship cosplay advisor who has played a leading role on the Japanese cosplay scene for more than 20 years, showers their costume with praise.
The attention to detail, the painting method too. It's not cosplay, it's like movie making. In Japan, they could make a living just making props for movies.
Shema, who is in charge of the presentation, works as a graphic designer. The skills and visual sense honed in his job have come alive in cosplay making.
Since we won the World Cosplay Summit in Mexico, we don't have any time for our friends or
family.
No.
Now they like
all the time it's cosplay, and I'm saying,
yeah.
With a week to go before the championship, the world's cosplayers take part in a variety of events. On this day, they arrive at Meiji Mura, a museum in Inuyama. The facility and the World Cosplay Summit are collaborating this year for the first time. Cosplayers representing their countries participated in talks and photography sessions. August 1st, the day of the championship. Prior to crowning the world's #1, a colorful red carpet parade is held on Nishiki Street. Regular cosplayers join in as the participants head toward the venue. The temperature is 38.3 degrees Celsius. The hottest day of the summer so far, but inside, the mood among the cosplayers is even hotter. The hottest summer day in Nagoya. The World Cosplay Championship has started. "26 teams and 52 cosplayers will battle for the world title." It's time for the Philippine team, their first championship.
More nervous, more audience, more nervous.
父上はどこに。She was second away. 養父の娘、父上に手をかけるなんて断じて許せねえ。この戦争はあなた父さんが始めたこと。
So embarrassing. No. There were some malfunctions, but we just continued. We just like pushed through. Yeah.
A mistake during a once-in-a-lifetime performance. The shock is too much. For these girls, it was a bitter debut.
Look at me.
But they've gained a lot of
I'm
experience.
saying this if I'm not telling you the truth. You were incredible out there. There is nothing for you to feel bad about.
A long line that formed in front of a TV tower. They're actually waiting to go into the official changing room.
We come every year, about 5 or 6 times now.
These are 2 regulars at the Cosplay Summit. This is their costume this year.
It's fun being able to completely turn into a character.
Together with 2 friends, she's become a character from the popular anime Love Live. During our interview, they refused to show us their real faces. But once in costume, they smile into the camera. Absolutely no hesitation. This is the power of cosplay. Back on the championship stage, it's the team from First Time Vietnam. And the last to take the stage, Mexico. The much anticipated performance is unveiled. The enthralling act delights the crowd. Once all the teams finish their performances, the world's #1 cosplayer is chosen.
It was not what expected, but it's okay. I will try our best. So we got so many problems right now, well, in the performance, so we try our best.
World Cosplay Summit 2015. This year's world champion is...
Entry number 26, Mexico!
Entry number 26. Congratulations, Mexico! Congratulations!
Thank you. I'm just so in shock. I can't believe this. Like, oh my God. I totally thought I don't know. We worked so hard. So hard. Thank you, really, thank you.
The following day, the cosplayers, finished with their battles, are all smiles.
What we're really going to treasure all the time is not the trophy, it's not the awards. It's going to be the people we take in our hearts for this experience. I think the most big thing about World Cosplay Summit is to truly put people together and let them to be together all their lives.
Next time.
Wonderful!
Great! Excellent!
Smiles ahead. Save a group.
Man, look at all these cars.
Hey, have you heard, by the way?
The Japanese company Kobelco is working to make the world's cars lighter.
So what does that mean?
Kobelco is using aluminum and steel technologies to make car parts and bodies lighter around the world.
Ah, Japanese technology. The country of karate. Ha! Ha! Ha!
Why do we always do that?
I don't know.
The talk of the world. Kobelco.
ベトナムに対してワクチンの技術援助をするとか、我々の技術を出せばですね、救われる人たちがたくさんいる。でもう一つは非常に少ない疾病の患者さんたちのための開発をやってます。いかにしたら未だ治らない病気の治療薬ができるかっていう、そこにみんなの気持ちが大体集まってます。
The sport truck. New Mitsubishi Triton.
Drive at Earth Mitsubishi Motors.
You're watching Channel Japan. Next, we have a report from World Business Satellite. So, Tsuda-san, what's the topic?
Yes, this time we'll be looking at moves to make it easier for non-Japanese to work in Japan. For example, as doctors in clinics and as housekeepers.
I know that it's part of a national growth strategy, and the government is hoping it'll be a big driver for the economy.
Yes, that's right. And a major component is allowing foreign doctors who were previously restricted to big hospitals to work in smaller clinics and to help relieve the shortage of medical professionals in local communities.
Well, in a previous program, we talked about how there will be a shortfall of 200,000 nursing care workers by 2025. So inviting more workers from overseas may be the first step towards a solution.
It could be. And so how will these new rules be put to effect? Take a look.
Eri Ushioda is a homemaker living in Tokyo. She spends every day doing housework and taking care of her daughter. As she's preparing dinner, her daughter Haruka starts getting cranky.
It's okay. Play with Mommy with the colored pencils.
Until 3 years ago, Ms. Ushioda worked at a major financial institution. But after getting married, she quit her job. But recently, she's had a certain thought.
I want to go back. I've always worked, so...
She's been thinking of returning to work. So she began researching housekeeping services. The price is about 10,000 yen for 2 hours.
The reality is, money-wise, it'll be difficult to ask them.
Ms. Ushioda has no choice but to give up going back to work. Many people in Japan think that using housekeeping services is not realistic. According to one survey, the top reason for not using them is price. Prices average about 3,000 yen an hour. At the same time, potential demand is seen as growing, with families in which both husband and wife work become more prevalent. 5 years ago, the size of the market was about 100 billion yen, but it's forecast to reach 500 billion yen in the near future. Securing enough workers is an urgent issue. In August this year, the revised National Strategic Special Zones Law was established, deregulating sectors on a region-by-region basis. Until now, foreign nationals engaged in housekeeping work were not granted resident status, but such restrictions were eased. The national government also wants to reduce the burden of housekeeping on women and encourage them to work outside the home. In fact, housekeeping services provided by non-Japanese are already up and running. This is one such firm called Shebu. They employ Filipino maids who have resident permits. On this day, 2 women originally from the Philippines arrived for training.
When you want to say I know in a more polite way, say certainly or I understand.
The company has been actively hiring Filipinos to grow its housekeeping business. This woman from the Philippines began working as a housekeeper 2 years ago. She heads to the home of a customer in Tokyo.
Good morning.
This is Judy Goto. Busy with work, she requested services twice a month to reduce the burden of housework.
Excuse me, Ms. Jury, is there anything you'd like me to do first? The washing and vacuuming.
Right away, she starts doing the washing. She works expertly and quickly. She even notices small details, such as the drain.
Yes. I should clean everything while I'm doing this.
Filipinos are actually highly sought after around the world as housekeepers. What's more,
Do you know what color is this?
Gray.
This is blue. Blue, yes, I want blue.
they can also teach children English. Prices start at 10,000 yen per 3 hours.
The deregulation is a first attempt. We also plan to become more active in this field.
But there are also big challenges. This is the country's biggest housekeeping services provider, Bears. The company employs 4,000 Japanese staff members. But concerned about a potential shortage of workers, Managing Director Yuki Takahashi decided to actively hire foreigners. So she headed to Manila in the Philippines. She wants to find out about the local situation before hiring workers. This is a school specializing in teaching housekeeping skills. The women here are all future housekeepers. In fact, in the Philippines, housekeepers are required to acquire national certification. The women here learn how to clean and do washing before being dispatched to Europe, the United States, and the Middle East. Ms. Takahashi is thinking of hiring about 500 Filipinos as housekeepers. But the Japanese government is in the process of imposing new rules on companies wanting to invite foreign workers from abroad. For example, they must pay the cost of language and cultural education for foreign workers. A fixed monthly salary of 200,000 yen must also be provided. Workers are not allowed to do work beyond housekeeping. What's more, the working period is limited to 3 years. With the variety of costs involved, service providers would have no choice but to raise prices. Bears believes the cost for a foreign worker may end up being 20% higher than that for Japanese staff members.
It's certainly possible that no companies hire foreign workers. Very possible.
Bears isn't alone. In an independent survey, 5 of 7 companies in the industry said they would not hire foreign workers. The biggest reason was cost. The government's response.
If there are areas other than housekeeping services for which we should provide assistance, then we need to consider them. But basically, service providers need to shoulder their own costs.
Strategic special zones were meant to encourage more women to work outside the home. But as it stands, they may end up as pies in the sky.
Oryx is driving business in Asia through leases, investments, real estate development, energy businesses, and more. Making business more dynamic and fast-paced than ever. Oryx.
Nikko, one of Japan's leading tourist destinations. Here, you will be charmed by nature's bounty and will enjoy the beautiful scenery. You will also experience Japanese history at World Heritage temples and shrines. Nikko and Kinugawa, as well as the historic hot springs, are charming. Asakusa is easily accessible from the airport. It takes 2 hours from Asakusa to reach Nikko and Kinugawa via the Spacia Limited Express. Let's go to Nikko!
Making better living with functional labels and films. Connecting dreams throughout the world with our unique technology. Linking your dreams now from Japan to the world. For adhesive products, we are Lintec.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tokyo Skytree. Be awestruck by the panoramic view. There are so many other fun things to do after you've enjoyed the view. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go, let's enjoy. This is Tokyo Skytree.
Channel Japan. Your source for the voices and views of people and businesses across Japan. The latest reports on Japanese companies, culture, and technology. Find out what's happening on the ground. Every week, direct from Tokyo, Channel Japan.
Next, we have a video report from the Nikkei Online Edition. So what's the topic?
Yes, we'll be looking at people working to revive a traditional industry related to a certain naturally derived material called shitoi.
Shitoi, that doesn't ring a bell.
It's actually a type of grass that was traditionally used for flooring material in Japanese homes and was once grown all around the country, but now it's only grown in one region in southern Japan.
Why did that happen?
Well, harvesting the plant is labor-intensive and mechanizing the process has proved very difficult, and as a result, many regions stopped growing it.
Does the graying of the farming population have something to do with it as well?
It certainly may, and in 2013 the region producing the plant was designated a World Agricultural Heritage and began attracting attention with many young people moving there. And we have a report on the collaboration between these young farmers and local residents in reviving this traditional industry, so take a look.
At a beach early in the morning, work begins to dry shitoi, a type of grass used to make tatami mats. This was a common scene until half a century ago. Efforts have been underway since last year to bring it back. Shitoi is a plant with a triangular shape. It is split in half and dried for use as tatami material. Highly durable, it was adopted in the manufacture of judo mats for the 1964 Tokyo Olympics. The plant was once grown across the country, but because harvesting is labor-intensive, there are now just 10 farms left on the Kunisaki Peninsula. One group is working to revive this traditional plant, which is in danger of disappearing. Satoshi Fuchino came here 3 years ago after quitting his office job.
In the beginning, I didn't even know that there was something called shichitoi. I had a strong curiosity about this unknown thing.
He became an apprentice of local farmer Tadashi Matsubara and learned the ropes.
Mr. Matsubara is quiet, but there's a sternness that oozes out.
The work here involves not just growing the plant, but also making tatami mats and shipping them out. What does the veteran Mr. Matsubara think of the young workers coming in?
I'm grateful and happy, but trying to make a living on this is quite tough. It's a traditional industry that's disappearing. Hearing that there was no one left to do this work was my motivation for giving this a try.
Chika Iwakiri is a traditional craftsmaker trying to promote shichitoi.
You gradually begin to understand the feelings of the people of Kunisaki when you work with these farmers. I want more people to know about shichitoi.
To do that, she started making accessories and other more familiar items from the plant.
Shichitoi wasn't known that well, even in Oita Prefecture. But now, children recognize it.
A local association is also making more efforts to promote shichitoi by setting up information resource centers and educational programs.
Without young people, we wouldn't feel motivated. There's a new movement now. No one ever thought about making earrings and wristbands with shichitoi.
The region that grows shichitoi was designated a World Agricultural Heritage Site in 2013. More people around the world are also starting to learn about shichitoi.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of Channel Japan. We have much more in store for you, so join us again next week.